Hey guys, how's it going? I am DudeNotsoHD, and in this video I'm going to talk about why Fortnite updates don't feel the same anymore. This is basically a reply to a video that Sypherpk made, and I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. But before that, if you do end up enjoying this video, please drop it a like, and if you feel so inclined, please subscribe. So in this video that Sypherpk released today, he explains why Fortnite updates don't feel the same anymore. And from his point of view, it's basically because we consume Fortnite content a lot faster than we used to. It's also got a lot to do with nostalgia, as well as a lot of burnout from most people. Now, these main points I 100% agree with. I actually feel like at this stage we've also become a little bit of spoiled children. And that includes me. If there's an update that I don't like, I usually voice my concerns and make sure that people know that I feel that it's lackluster. So I agree with most of these points, and there's more you can add on to it, like the fact that people are much better at the game now. And because of that, a lot of the fun we had all learning together in the first chapter is not there anymore. So even when a lot is added, it doesn't feel that great because you're still getting your head kicked in by some sweat. So a lot of the fun feels like it's lost there. However, there are other things at play here, and I would argue that there are things that are missing that make the Fortnite updates not feel the same anymore. And the 2 main proponents are map changes as well as content being added to Fortnite, or I should say the type of content being added to Fortnite. So I'll give a quick rundown on the map issues because I've actually made a video about this before, and you can go check it out on why I think the map has serious issues and the issues I feel that are stopping Epic from adding too much to the map. And that's because I feel like they're running out of resources, because they always seem to add a POI but remove one to add that POI. And if you compare it directly to Chapter 1, which is why we're talking about updates not feeling the same, then you will see in the first 5 seasons of Chapter 1 versus the first 5 seasons of Chapter 2, I think Chapter 1 had something like 9 POIs added that stayed, versus Chapter 2 that had 4 POIs added and stayed. So when I say added and stayed, I mean that there were definitely more POIs added, but they were always replaced by something else, and so nothing ever stayed. And I feel that that's why this map sometimes feels so barren, because if you look at the older map, it just got more and more cluttered, and even in between POIs there was always a bunch of shit littered everywhere, and that's something you do not find in this map anymore. If anything, it's a fucking 1x1 hut, and it might have a chest in it, and that's about it. So there's definitely issues there. However, like I said, I made a whole video on that. I'll put it up at the top or whatever, and you can check it out if you want to. But moving on to the next part is what I think is the biggest proponent to why Fortnite updates don't feel the same anymore. And it's the type of content being added. So in the video that Sypherpk released, he talks about the dinosaurs or the raptors as well as the shopping carts, and sort of gives them a bit of a comparison. But unfortunately, I feel like there's a big difference between the shopping carts and the raptors. So let's start off with the raptors. So he says that the raptors were added and people basically got over it in 1 day, but it should be kind of insane, because if raptors were added in Chapter 1, people would have lost their minds. And I agree with this statement to some extent, but I feel the biggest problem with the raptors are the fact that they didn't come out immediately with the season. Instead, they hyped them. They teased them for 2 weeks, and that was the biggest failure, because when you hype something like that, you expect it to work a little bit different than everything else. So by the time the raptors come out and we find out that they work exactly the same as wolves and boar, it is a major letdown, because what was all that hype for? What was all that teasing for? You know, most people were thinking maybe we'll be able to ride them, maybe we'll be able to do a bunch of shit with them, which is something I feel would have been added to Chapter 1. If these raptors were added in Chapter 1, I bet you we would have been able to ride them. And that's the difference right there. So let's go on to the shopping carts, right? It was the first vehicle. But it was so memey and trolly. We'd been begging for vehicles for a while at that stage. So what do? They're like, fuck it, we're going to add a shopping cart, which is completely stupid. But that was the fun of it all. It was all these outrageous things that they would add. The shopping cart was completely useless, but it was so much fun to use that even after all the other vehicles got added, there'd still be times where you'd see people rolling around in shopping carts because it was just funny and stupid. And that's what I think Fortnite is missing now. We don't have anything funny and stupid anymore. If you look at this season's update and you look at the animals, right? We've got the frogs, the chickens, the boar, the wolves, and now the raptors. And the only ones that fit is probably the chickens and the frogs. Maybe not so much the frogs, but the chickens especially, because they're the only thing that feels like Fortnite, because they're completely stupid. To me, it's that stupid, trolly, memey type updates that are missing. Those fun updates. I mean, if you just look at the vehicles now versus the vehicles then. The vehicles right now are so bland, and you feel like they were developed for the sake of balance instead of the sake of fun. I mean, you look at the older vehicles and they're all insane. They're just bonkers, you know, right? The ballers, the quad crashes, the hoverboards, all that shit, the aeroplanes, they're all mad. Now I know a lot of people will complain about them being OP, but that was mainly the competitive side of things. In terms of content, fun, creativity, and entertainment, those things were huge. It was insane. And these things don't exist anymore. Everything that's added feels like it's added for the sake of balance. And so we just don't have the outrageous shit anymore. And that's why I feel like in the video, he also mentions a lot of content creators are sort of getting tired of Fortnite. They kind of don't have that passion anymore. And I feel like it's because it's hard to be creative anymore. Because before it was so easy to be creative. Fortnite adds a shopping cart and everyone goes, let's just see what crazy stupid shit we can do with this because this is hilarious. Fortnite adds ballers, so everyone goes, okay, let's see how we can break the game. Let's see how we can abuse this and make it super funny and super stupid. We don't have balloons, we don't have jump pads, we don't have grapplers, we don't have guided missiles, we don't have quad crashes, we don't have shadow bombs, we don't have rifts, we don't have etc. We've got nothing that used to make this game insane. And I get it, it's much easier to seem creative when you're adding to nothing than when you're adding 3 years in. So adding all these things in the first chapter would have been much easier to seem creative than adding it in chapter 2 because you've already got 3 years of the game going. However, why remove half the shit anyway? Why not keep it in? I feel like the cartoony craziness of Fortnite is what's missing with the updates these days. And I know people will mention things like, oh well, if we do that, then we'll get to the point where we see mechs again and the Infinity Blade and all this bullshit. However, I believe it is better to burn out than to fade away. It's better they go too far than not far enough. And that's my viewpoint on why I think Fortnite updates don't feel the same anymore. Also, please understand guys, this isn't to start an argument. This is just my point of view. As I said before, I agree with most of what Sypher says. It's just to really start a discussion. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope you guys have a good one.